Hey, and welcome to another episode of my Ask Me Anything videocast series where I, Chris Clemens, try to answer your most burning political questions. Today's topic has to do with the government shutdown. Today is January 20th, it's a Saturday, and last night at midnight, the federal government began shutting down all non-essential government functions. Now, what does that mean? The essential functions right now, things like our national security, will continue to run. So the military is not going home, our borders are still safe. What is being shut down right now is what the government considers non-essential. So things like our national park staff. About 59% of the IRS employee base right now will be furloughed as of Monday. Some of our departments have money stored away right now to survive a government shutdown, but most of those won't go past 1 or 2 weeks if this is a long-term shutdown. So right now, we are seeing what the government considers essential. And with this, the one thing that needs to be mentioned and really kind of hashed out with this shutdown is that this is a manufactured crisis. The Republican Party currently holds a 51 to 49 majority in the Senate, and it has a very, very wide majority in the U.S. House of Representatives. There's no reason why we should not have passed our 12 appropriations bills, the bills that fund the government, by the deadline October 1st. Most people don't know the federal fiscal year starts October 1st, and that's why that's the deadline. We have to know what we're going to be able to spend for the fiscal year of 2018. The government, Congress essentially, has missed that deadline every year since 1996. And what generally happens when we run into that deadline is we'll pass either a continuing resolution or we'll put together all the appropriations bills into one big massive bill that no one reads called an omnibus spending bill. These are wonderful opportunities, and I say wonderful in scare quotes there, for our senators and congressmen to pass a lot of poison pills, a lot of things that would be unpopular to the American public due to these manufactured crises. The idea is we must fund the government or people won't get paid. And in order to do that, we need to pass something right now. So don't worry about the details. We'll pass it and figure it out later. We've been doing this for a very long time. And in recent past, it seems that we're doing it every year, multiple times. This year, for instance, we are on our 4th deadline that has been missed. We essentially, the House of Representatives have passed 4 continuing resolutions, and the only holdup this time around was the Senate. So this is nothing that is new. And to kind of give you an idea as to why this is such a big deal, the continuing resolution that was passed in December had a poison pill, what I would consider a poison pill, attached to it. It was $3.8 billion additional onto our military budget to purchase some missile defense systems. Now, these missile defense systems that we purchased with this $3.8 billion are the Aegis missile defense system and the THAAD missile defense system. The THAAD, I believe, is the one that is the least effective of the two in that it has a 70% fail rate. And in this budget, basically the idea was that our contract with Boeing and Northrop Grumman and Raytheon and the other military contractors who make these for us was running out. And they needed that money so that they could continue to hire their engineers and everything else. So they put an emergency addendum to this continuing resolution to buy these missiles that don't really work. They're not effective. Like I said, a 70% fail rate for one of them. And this is not the only time that they have done things like this. Kevin Yoder in 2014, with the big omnibus spending bill that came through then, right at the end of a government shutdown, decided to insert some legislation that allowed the big banks to take their most riskiest of assets and insure them using FDIC money. What does that mean? Basically, Kevin Yoder said, hey, it's okay for these big banks to continue these default swaps and all of these other really risky things. And if they fail, if something bad happens, well, the federal government will go on ahead and cover your losses. Essentially, the big banks are now gambling with taxpayer money. And again, time and time again, when you look at these omnibus spending bills, you look at these continuing resolutions, there's always something attached that people in the general public would find distasteful, and that's why they do it. There's no rush to go on ahead and get these appropriations bills passed on time. There's no real rush to actually put any appropriations bills onto the floor and have them discussed, because then the general public would know what was in them. So let's manufacture a crisis, let's wait till the very end, and then let's put a bunch of stuff in there that nobody wants, continue to blow up our budget and continue that government bloat, and, shove it down the American public's throat, essentially. And that's what's occurring right now. So what is my take on all of this? Well, put very simply and very frankly, I've become completely desensitized to all of these manufactured crises. It seems like every so many months, we're going to run into a government shutdown where we need to pass a bunch of stuff, or we're going to run into a debt ceiling issue where we have to raise the debt limit. And really, we just keep kicking the can down the road, and none of our issues in government are being solved. So, like the rest of the American public, at this point in time, I've seen so many of these manufactured crises that I'm just kind of like, meh, let's see what happens. What happens if this government shutdown goes another month? Now, I doubt it will, but let's say we go that month and all these other agencies who have emergency funding saved away run out of that funding. And all of these employees are furloughed for the federal government, and all these non-essential functions stop functioning. What happens if the American people realize that their day-to-day lives really aren't being affected that greatly by all of these different programs? Well, that creates a lot of support to start cutting those programs and cutting those agencies. There are more agencies in the federal government right now than anyone can put a number to. And that's the truth. There's just hundreds of different agencies and departments and so on and so forth that I don't think any of our congressmen right now know what they're funding. So this is a very good opportunity for us as American people to assess what is essential for the day-to-day life of the average American. And with this, one thing I really want to drive home, and this is kind of my last point, is that, again, the Democrats have done this when they've been in control. The Republicans are doing it now when they're in control. There's no excuse for this behavior. These appropriations bills should have been passed in October 1st of 2017, and here we are, January 20th. We continue to vote these people back into office every 2 years. And until we hold them accountable and we vote them out, this behavior is just going to continue over and over and over again. Again, Kevin Yoder has voted for every single omnibus and continuing resolution that has been put on the books. That just continues to encourage this poor behavior. And I get it. Republicans, we don't want to lose that seat, which is why when it comes to our Republican primaries this late summer, that's where you take care of this issue. That's where you hold Kevin Yoder responsible for his behavior. Again, I'm running against Kevin Yoder because I'm tired of this behavior, because I know I will never vote for a continuing resolution bill, ever. I'm done seeing this behavior continue. So if you want to hold them accountable, you've got the opportunity. Show up to the Republican primary and vote Yoder out. Put somebody who has your best interest at heart in that seat. Because if you put Kevin Yoder back into the general election, there's a very good chance that Republicans will lose yet another seat in the House of Representatives. So that's my take on this. Democrats and Republicans both need to take care of this issue in their primaries. Hold your individuals accountable. That's where you do it. Then you don't have to worry about losing the general election. If you're in a democratically controlled district, and that's always been a Democratic seat, and you're worried about losing that to a Republican, take care of it in the primary and put a good Democrat out there and vote them into office. The same thing is true for the Republicans. When the primaries come up, vote your current congressman out. Stop this behavior, because the only thing it's doing is blowing up our budget, it's making our dollar worth nothing, and it's really hurting the overall global image of America. We do not look like a responsible country right now. We don't look like we have a responsible government. And overall, this is just continuing to support bad behavior. So everyone here, everyone watching this video has an opportunity to stop this behavior this summer. And that's what I encourage you to do. So if you like this episode, I encourage you to hit the like and share button. As a reminder, I'm not accepting any donations from corporations or big money donors. Everything is grassroots right now, so every like and every share goes a long way. And with that, I'll catch you guys next time.